Clicky.
Clickety click. Clickety clicky.
All right. It says we are live. Does it have my image? Oh, yeah, I know. Twitch. There's my little window. All right. Good to go when you are, Tom.
3, 2. Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Oh.
Yes, that you're not wrong. That is the voice of Sarah Lane. Oh my gosh, Sarah, we missed you.
Oh gosh, I missed you guys too. It's been quite a week. Not even a week. Quite a few, 5 days.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I hope you all will understand. I'm sure you will. Sarah will not be joining us for DTNS today. There's still a lot going on. But you're not back in your place yet, are you?
I'm not. So just to like get everybody a little bit like, I don't know, if you want to catch up. Last Thursday was the last time I slept in my own bed in Los Angeles. On Friday, my movers packed me up and shipped me up to the North Bay. So I slept on a sleeping bag, with Otis and Lucy on Friday night in the empty place. Got up real early on Saturday, starting to drive up, which is let's call it 7 to 9 hour drive, going up north to meet the movers. During that time, a few of my friends were like, I don't think you should come up here. The fires are like kind of bad. And I kind of kept looking at my, phone like, well, I mean, I don't know. There's like a warning. I don't know. We get that a lot. So I kept going. So Saturday evening, my movers and I all unpack at my new house in Forestville. 2 hours after that, I'm evacuated. Mandatory evacuation.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like you can't just sort of like wait it out. Like you might die kind of thing. So I go to my mom's. My mom lives, 20 miles away. And she's like, I've got power, no problem. We're watching college football. Come on over, So Lucy and Otis and I go over to my mom's. And, we have sort of a pleasant evening, where I'm like, oh, that sucks. I can't unpack at my place, but, it's okay. At least I'm with family. At 5:30 a.m. the next morning, we're mandatory evacuated from my mom's.
Oh.
And that was the worst morning I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm not even kidding.
Man.
It kind of felt like something from... It was like an apocalyptic thing.
Yeah.
It's like a Roland Emmerich film or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like because the it didn't get light till almost 8 a.m. right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were in the dark for a couple of hours.
Wow.
And the roads were clogged and people were like peeing on the side of the road and it was bad.
Wow.
It was bad. And my mom and I had to split up because she had her cats and she was in her car and I was in my car with my animals, and I kept calling her like, okay, all right, you got to U-turn, like wherever you're going is bad news. You got to go this other way. Like it's sort of like if you have claustrophobia issues,
mm-hmm.
This was the worst. And again, like we were still in the dark. It was weird. It was so weird, you guys. Oh, man. But we got out. Everybody's okay. We're good to go. It's just been a very, very strange several days after that.
Yeah.
And you're not... I mean, you could theoretically go back to your place, but then you might have to turn around and leave immediately. And PG&E isn't providing power to it anyway right now, so it's not really an option.
Yeah. So
at the
the situation with my place is the power is out, and we are in a evacuation warning, which was downgraded from mandatory.
Which is
Which is
good. That's
good.
good news.
Yeah, that's good. But at the same time, there's no power. We have a generator on my property, and it did kick in the other day before I left. So I know that it works, but I don't know, like, I don't know. I mean, if the generator doesn't work, I can't be there. It's dark as F.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, and the generator only goes for so long. It's not like it
Yeah,
lasts.
yeah.
Are you
exactly.
responsible for like keeping the gas in it topped off?
Am
Yeah.
I? No, I don't even know how that works. I don't even know where the generator is. No.
Man, that's not. I don't wish this on anybody. This sounds miserable.
Yeah, it's been really weird. It's been really weird. I mean, listen, everybody being safe and, with, a bed to sleep in at night is awesome. And that's all that matters. That is really all that matters.
Yeah.
However, it is to the point where I'm like, I can't go home. And my home is not even like home.
Well, that's
really.
the worst.
It's just a bunch
That's
of
the worst.
boxes.
Because your brain's probably still in the frame of mind of like, oh, I live in Los Angeles, and you have to keep telling, no, I don't. I live in this other place that I'm unfamiliar with, that I can't even go into. Like,
That's right.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. I know.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's been a weird few days, guys. It really has.
Yeah.
I will say that, what's funny is that I have some really good friends of mine who live in Mill Valley who took my mom and I and our 3 cats and 1 dog in.
That was very nice of them.
Very nice of them yesterday, but their power is out because the power is out all over the Bay Area. So, there was only so much time that we could stay there, comfortable as it was, before like we all were like, we have to leave. I mean, your electronics run out, you can't do anything. And when the power goes out, the LTE goes out because the cell towers go out.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so you think like, okay, we don't have Wi-Fi, but we'll have LTE. No. You really didn't have any service at all. You had to leave.
Ugh. I mean, that stuff's always just one switch away, right? Like, you never think about it because it's sort of omnipresent. But the minute an emergency necessitates all that stuff going away, it's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
You don't have it no more.
That's right.
I almost had to do this once for fire in 2012, the day before Nerdtacular. I don't know if Tom, you remember this or not, but I almost had to do this exact thing. And all the fears were in my head, and I was thinking all the terrible stuff. And then last second, they're like, okay, turn the other way. Everyone's good. And I remember thinking, and I never had to worry about it again. And now I'm having like flashbacks for Sarah. I feel like total like sympathy pain for you. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird timing too, right? Like, it's not like we don't have fires down here in Los Angeles. We've been talking about them for the past couple of days, but it's not on the Titanic scale of what's going on in Sonoma this right now, which is record setting, and it's just unbelievable. And you don't have PG&E. You don't have PG&E. Let's just leave it at that, which is a whole other situation.
Oh, PG&E. How I hate ye.
Yeah.
Also, like, a lot of this is, and, I don't really know what I'm talking about because I've been away for a while, but, going back up to the Bay Area, people are like, oh, there was a transformer that exploded and that was the whole Kincaid fire thing. And I'm like, well, can you like sue them? And everyone's like, no, we've been trying to sue them.
No,
for
they're
years.
bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's just like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I
mean, I have my issues with LADWP like everybody has with their utilities, but I have never been more thankful to have them and not PG&E. Actually, I mean, I am still a PG&E customer because technically I have an account for the condo that we have in Oakland that our friend Brett rents from us. But I'm really glad they don't provide my power. Or don't provide my power. The case may be.
Right. That's right.
Such a weird, that whole thing's such a weird experiment anyway, kind of, right? I mean, I don't understand it entirely, but it's like,
well, it's not an experiment. The way I understand it, it is a Hail Mary. It is a last ditch effort. It's PG&E going, well, it's possible that our neglect and mismanagement has caused power lines to pose a higher fire risk than normal. And so one way we can make sure we're not liable for a fire is to just turn off the power on everyone. And as we can see, that hasn't stopped fires from happening. I'm not saying it was necessarily an unreasonable situation where they were like, well, maybe if we turn off the power to lower the fire risk. Fire risk was just high no matter what. But it was definitely inexcusable that PG&E let their system get to the point that was the option they had, rather than actually just, doing repairs and
yeah.
doubling down.
I mean,
yeah.
So it was Saturday night when my movers moved me in, and there was a warning, but I naively was like, well, I don't know, it'll be fine. The fire is kind of far from me, kind of thing. Again, like I was only there for like a couple of hours, like put a couple lamps in, spots, like what you do when you're trying to move into a place, and not really knowing what you're doing. And the power went out where I was like, oh gosh. But the generator did
kick in.
Yeah.
That's good.
Probably within, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. And I was like, okay, we're good. But at the same time, I mean, that 30 seconds that we were in the dark, I was like, oh, it's real dark out here. It's like we are rural, which is fine. I knew that. All good. But I mean, it's dark. There are no street lamps. There is no anybody. Everybody was gone. It was scary.
Were you constantly on the on notice about noises you heard? Like, is that a person or is that like a raccoon or something?
Well,
I wasn't really like there for that long after that happened. Even after the generator kicked in, I was like, okay, generator kicked in, but LTE was dead. So I was like, I have to leave. Like, I can't. I literally can't talk to anybody. Like, if something terrible happens, I can't talk to anybody. So I had to go to where there was power, and then then the power went off there.
Kelly 138 in Twitch chat said her brother works, or their brother works for PG&E, and he's part of the 10% of their workforce doing 95% of the work since the recent bankruptcy. So I said, tell your brother thank you for us for being one of the people trying to pull them out of this pit that they got themselves into. We don't blame Kelly 138's brother.
No, certainly not.
Oh, and they're flying to Niagara Falls for a much needed vacation. Good. He probably deserves it. Man. Well, Sarah, thanks for taking some time to chat.
I'm sorry it wasn't like more of like an uplifting GDI.
I think everybody just is going to be happy to hear your voice and know that you're okay and all of that. So that's good.
I am.
That's good.
No, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I hope to be back in business tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, by Thursday for sure. And love y'all, and thank y'all for being so nice to me, given this very strange situation that we've been in.
We'll give Otis a couple of scratches for me and give Lucy some pets. I'm glad to hear they're doing okay.
Yeah, they are. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Oh, man.
Ugh, what a bummer, dude. I hate that. I hate that. You guys can have our temperatures. It's 30 degrees right now.
Well, yeah. Nick with the C, not totally understandably, said, "Why would anyone move to California?" And I don't blame him, given what's going on right now. But every place has something.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's tornadoes, or it's hurricanes, or it's blizzards, or it's,
Flooding.
I mean, and it's not like everyone's affected by the fires.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that I try to get across to people. Like, California's a very big state, and even though these are very big and unprecedented fires, the majority of the state is unaffected.
Yeah. Like, I would say well over 75% are not affected. Now, the rest of it are not affected. I mean, the thing is, the percentage that are directly affected is tiny, but then you have the impact from those that spill over. But even then, it's...
Yeah, but anything west of the Rockies, we're all sucking it with fires. California's getting the brunt really bad this year and in previous years. But like the whole, it would be easy if you look at just the West in general. There are blazing fires in so many states, even now, that just don't get a lot of talk. These California ones are in particular are gnarly because there are so much people living around them right now.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, right? We had a very small fire up in the hills in the middle of Los Angeles, but it was in the middle of Los Angeles. So that one's making international news, right? Because it made LeBron James and Arnold Schwarzenegger evacuate and stuff. Right. Same size fire was happening out in the hill country, out in the desert a couple of weeks ago. That one didn't make any news because it was not affecting the same number of people, and it wasn't affecting celebrities.
I mean, and also, you can, I mean, like what Tom was saying, like, I could say the same, like, why live in Florida? You're always going to be hit by hurricanes every year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, my
Illinois,
wife,
we always just had these big blizzards and tornadoes and...
Yeah, you're tornado country, I was going to say. In Kim's case, she grew up near New Orleans. And she'd been out here for a while, but her whole family moved out west in 2005 to be closer to all the kids because everybody sort of seemed to move out here. And so everybody left the South in early 05. And as you know, that year is when Katrina hit. And all the places they lived were like 8 feet underwater, like destroyed, gone.
Wow.
So like, you never know, man. You could be there 1 second and next minute you're not. And...
Yeah, now that I think about it, when I was growing up, we had blizzards, tornadoes, and flooding.
Yeah.
So triple threat, right? Like you just never knew. At least in California, earthquakes get too much press. They, every few decades they're devastating. I don't mean to minimize it, but most of the time they're just kind of a minor annoyance. The fires are a bigger deal. But we don't get typhoons over here, thank goodness.
Well, we don't get typhoons. We don't get severe. I mean, at least where I'm at, the only flooding is maybe like after a rainstorm where you have torrential downpour. But even then,
there is flooding sometimes. That's true, but not really in LA. It's more up in like.
But it's not even like on the level that you got with Houston or some others are prone to flooding.
Or the Mississippi. That's the flooding around where I grew up.
When I grew up in the Central Valley, when there was a period back in the early 90s, there were torrential rains, massive amount of flooding, and they blew up all the levees and flooded all the orchards because they needed to they needed to drain the water somewhere that wasn't homes. And I remember that was a big deal, but it wasn't. The loss of life is surprisingly small considering how devastating the fires have been.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it's never good to have any loss of life, but it has been minor, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just remember doing sandbags in '83 as a kid. But had the worst flooding that year, and that was just from runoff from too big of a winter the year before. So I don't know. Like you said, everybody's got their thing.
Well, and so we had fires last year, which then caused mudslides because we had rain. Then the rain caused all the brush to grow, and then it got hot over the summer, and the brush all dried up, and then it caught fire again.
And then when they went, the mudslides came back because
the mudslides. Yeah, no, the mudslides will be coming back for sure.
Yeah, it's just the thing, like those kinds of things don't make or break whether or not you live in an area, right? No one says like, "Oh, I'm going to be in a flood state.
I'm only going to live in the place that is perfectly safe," said no one ever. All right, shall we do a daily tech news show?
Yes. Yeah, I like that show. It's a good show. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Here we go. In 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, it's the internet's birthday. Sony announces the end of PlayStation Vue, and EA returns to Steam. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, October 29th, 2019. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
In Salt Lake City, I'm Scott Johnson, not Patrick.
And I'm Roger Chang, the show's producer.
Yes, indeed. We're swapping Patrick and Scott's days if you're into paying attention to that sort of thing, because Patrick Beja is in the air on his way to my house. He's not going to land the plane at my house, but he is going to be here tomorrow in the studio with me. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a good switch. He's actually going to be in town for BlizzCon, so he's going to be our eyes on the ground for that thing this year. And
yes, indeed.
The fact that he gets to hang out with you a little bit, bonus, I would say.
Yeah, it's an absolute bonus for me, that's for sure. We actually just had a conversation with Sarah Lane. She's doing fine. She's not able to get into her new place, and so she will not be on the show today. But if you want to hear our talk with her, we had it on Good Day Internet, which you can get as a member at patreon.com/DTNS. The short version is it's been a rough few days for her, but she's doing fine. She's safe, and her dog and her cat are safe, and her mom and her mom's two cats are safe. So that's the important thing. And it was good to hear from her. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we might get her back tomorrow. Certainly by Thursday, it's looking at. All right, let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Well, it turns out WhatsApp is suing mobile surveillance company NSO Group in federal U.S. court. WhatsApp accuses NSO Group of creating malware used to, quote, access messages and other communications after they were decrypted on targeted devices. WhatsApp patched an exploit in May that may have been used. WhatsApp says more than 100 human rights defenders, journalists, and other members of civil society, in their words, were targeted.
Yeah, so it's suing over damages for breaking into their system. It's an interesting approach. NVIDIA announced the GeForce GTX 1650 Supercard launching November 22nd, though a price has not yet been announced, or at least I haven't seen one. GPU throughput of the 1650 Supercard will rise 46%. And the card comes with 12 gigabit per second GDDR6 memory, the TU116 GPU, which is the same one used on the 1660, and is a significant upgrade over the not super GTX 1650. It'll also be a 100-watt card compared to the not super 1650 75 watts. So that's something to take into account. NVIDIA also launched a super version of the GTX 1660 with faster GDDR6 memory. That one's shipping late November for $229.
The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is suing Google for false or misleading representations to consumers about the personal location data Google collects, keeps, and uses. That's a quote. The issue is that when setting up an Android phone, users can disable location history, but that does not disable collection of all location data. To do that, you have to go to the web and activity setting as well.
I didn't mean to give you all the lawsuit stories. It's just kind of the way it happened.
I'm your new legal correspondent, Scott Johnson. Hello.
Apple released macOS Catalina 10.15.1, adding support for new emojis, support for the AirPods Pro, the same Siri privacy controls that went into iOS this week. It also includes HomeKit's secure video support and support for AirPlay 2 enabled speakers. And Apple released an update for watchOS 6.1. That also adds AirPods Pro compatibility and can run on Apple Watch Series 1 and Series 2.
Nice. Also, at the same time, Apple pulled the latest update to its HomePod speakers, because users were reporting it made some speakers unusable. If you have installed the 13.2 HomePod update, Apple recommends avoiding resetting it or removing it from Home app or removing it from the Home app until a fix is released.
Yeah, and if it does get bricked, do what you would do, which is contact Apple support. They say they will try to help you. All right. 50 years ago today, in room 3420 at UCLA's Belter Hall, a graduate student named Charlie Klein sat at an IMP, the Internet Message Processor, an ITT teletype terminal, and sent a digital data transmission to Bill Duvall, a scientist sitting at a terminal at the Stanford Research Institute in Palo Alto, California, 350 miles to the north. Klein typed L, and L appeared on Duvall's screen. They were on the phone with each other so they could confirm this. Then Klein typed O, And then Duvall's computer crashed. So they got the L and the O through, then it crashed. After about a 20-minute software fix on Duvall's end, they tried again and sent the word login. Klein was then able to use the Stanford computer from UCLA to run programs. It was a test of linking academic computers into something called the ARPANET. That was a project of the Advanced Research Projects Agency, aka ARPA, set up in the Department of Defense in 1958 by Professor Leonard Kleinrock of UCLA. Within a few weeks of this successful test by Stanford and UCLA, the network had added computers at UC Santa Barbara and the University of Utah. And Room 3420 has recently been restored to its 1969 look and is called the Kleinrock Internet History Center. There's an excellent article with more about what happened on that day, some interviews with Klein and Duvall and Kleinrock, and it's all by Mark Sullivan at fastcompany.com.
Wow, that's cool. What a cool thing to look back on. I think a lot of people think the internet started in 1994, and maybe effectively for you it did, given those advances at that time with the web and everything. But yeah, it goes back this far. I was literally in diapers and breastfeeding. Tom was probably still incubating.
I was in a womb. Yeah, I was firmly ensconced.
We weren't even here yet. But yeah, I also love this story, obviously, because it's got a nice Utah connection. There's a lot of cool stuff up at the U now that talks about this history and its role in it and sort of what came after. But yeah, a big deal for the internet and us, because look at where we are now. Look at us talking over this weird internet that we're doing.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the things they were doing was getting around having to pay the phone company, because you could connect to computers before, but you had to lease a line, and you had to do it every time for two computers. They wanted to just be able to connect to a computer whenever they wanted, which just seems outrageous. And they wanted to connect more than one computer at a time. And so hence the ARPANET was born. And thank goodness for us, it did, or we wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Happy ARPA Internet days.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, Internet. You don't look a day over 50.
You really don't. Exactly. You don't look that much older. Google uses .new domains so that users create new things like Google Docs or calendar entries. Well, they have now opened the domain for others to register. Trademark owners can register a domain until January 14th, and others can apply for a new .new domain starting December 2nd. Microsoft just registered Word.new to start a new Word document, and Spotify registered Playlist.new and Podcast.new, which is interesting. eBay registered Sell.new, and Stripe registered Invoice.new. Even Drake's label OVO Sound registered Music.new. Tom, how quick are you going to make a .new domain?
I don't know that I will. I don't know that I need to. Some of these are cool, like the ability to start an invoice by doing invoice.new if you're a Stripe user. They only work really well if you're already logged in. So some of these, like if I'm not always logged into eBay, maybe if I'm a big seller, this would be great to be able to just type sell.new. And Drake, I mean, I don't think you're creating new music on his label. I think this just takes you to his website. So it doesn't have to cause something. But Word.new, if you're always logged in to Office 365 and you just want to start, a cloud version of a document, it's kind of cool. And I'm very glad that Google is opening this up to others. It would be unconscionable for them not to. And they've got some cool uses of their own there.
Can you only register through Google's domain registration stuff, or can I go to?
They own. This is one of those top level domains that you can own, and Google owns it, so they administer it, and they're the only place you can register.
Well, right.
I don't know if you could use a third-party register to buy it from Google, but Google's the one you end up buying it from.
Gotcha.
Razer launched its low-latency wireless earbuds, the Hammerhead True Wireless. Razer modified Bluetooth 5 to be claimed 60 millisecond latency. So these are typical earbuds with all the typical earbud controls and taps and everything that you would expect. But if you use them for gaming, they have 60 millisecond latency, which is much better latency than other wireless earbuds. Buds last 3 hours on a charge. Case can give an additional 15 hours, and they're available now for $100.
They look actually weirdly a lot like black AirPods. And that's cool because I like that look and I think it's a good fit, and these would fit my ears really well. But it is an interesting move by a company like Razer to say, hey, I'll bet you want a game with earbuds in, because that is typically the domain of a purely wired setup. Most gamers are not interested typically in some sort of wireless sort of solution. But these look great. I question whether they'll be able to market it outside of that narrow group, because that's really where they cater. That's their market. What would drive somebody who just is looking for a good new pair of earbuds to find these and make this their choice? I don't know, but I think $100 isn't bad, especially in light of the cost of some of these other higher end versions.
I mean, you can get them for less than $100. They're just from, they're not from Apple and and Samsung and Microsoft. They're from other folks. I saw some for $29 today that had some pretty good reviews. So they're definitely out there. Razer getting into it, I think, is smart for Razer. But I'd also, to me, the first thing that hit me when I saw this was this shows that the earbud industry, the earbud section, the wireless earbud without any kind of wire connected to it, is definitely the dominant one right now. And I have to say, my new Pixel 4 I can use with AirPods, but I don't want to have to keep switching it back and forth and repairing it every time. And I haven't found an elegant way to do that. So I got these USB-C headphones in the meantime because they were cheap, and I don't want to use them because they have wires, Scott. I'm spoiled. I just want to stick things in my ear and have them automatically connect without me having to do anything, which is what all of these do now, and it's great.
No, I've gotten completely spoiled by it. I don't want to go back. I use nothing but wireless headphones now. I don't remember the last time I plugged regular wired buds or headphones into my phone, and I split between a pair of AirPods and a big sort of over-the-ear cans, kind of like these, but they're wireless, that I get from Jabra, and I really like them. And it's to the point where I don't want to. And I know I'm not getting perfect sound, right? I know that wired people are definitely going to get better audio quality than I am, but I find myself not caring at all because the convenience is more important. And also the quality, quite frankly, is better than it's ever been, and will probably just keep getting better. So yeah, I'm all in on this. You sold me. I'm not going back.
I just want them to make it way easier to use wireless Bluetooth earbuds on multiple devices.
I agree. I want that Apple ease of use on every phone I put them on. So
even Apple could be easier, but yeah, okay. I want it to be cross-platform.
I totally agree.
Now, please ruin my day, Scott.
Now, here comes the funeral news. So we had the birthday of the internet. Now we have the funeral of PlayStation Vue. Sony's going to shut it down. This is their PlayStation Vue live TV subscription service, and that's going to happen on January 30th. So in a blog post, Sony said the highly competitive pay TV industry with expensive content and network deals has been slower to change than we expected. PS Vue launched in 2015. All those heady years ago. Sony sold its Crackle video service to CCSC last year. Tom is a avid user of PlayStation Vue, and I'm very curious how this news lands on you.
It hurts. PlayStation Vue is not the best service. It has its especially its streaming issues, but it has all the channels I need, and it has them at a price that I can agree to. So it is one of the few that has all those channels. It also has the widest number of integrations with network apps. So even when PlayStation Vue's own app isn't really working, which does happen, I can always go to the network app and it works great. And so I don't even think of PlayStation Vue as an app. I think of it as a thing I pay to get access to a bunch of channels that I want. And in that respect, it's been the perfect situation. I haven't looked at Suppose.tv lately, but I'm going to shortly because the last time I looked, PlayStation Vue was the only one that had all the channels I needed in one place. Sling TV, I know, still doesn't, although it does have NHL and MLB, I think, still. So maybe it's close. But those are usually the two I have a hard time finding in one package. And actually, until recently, PlayStation Vue didn't have the NHL network either. So once they got it, I'm like, oh, now it's perfect. Oh, wait, now it's shutting down. Going away from the personal, though, this is not shocking to me. There's two things going on here. The biggest reason, and I think the one that I don't see people talking about enough, is that Sony is focusing on gaming. This department has realized what Microsoft also realizes, which is if you want to have a successful game console, you need to have a wide number of apps available for it, but you don't need to run them. You don't need to be the provider of entertainment. And so shutting down PlayStation Vue is mostly a symptom of them wanting to focus on gaming on that rig and say, yeah, you know what? We want Sling TV and YouTube TV and all of those to be available on PlayStation. We want to provide the gaming service. That's what we want to do.
I'm glad
that's why we had the rumors that they were going to sell PlayStation Vue, but apparently they just couldn't find a buyer.
I'm glad you brought that up in context with Microsoft because if there was any hallmark moment of learning that happened during the current generation of consoles as we get ready to roll into new hardware, new services, is Microsoft's very early education that people didn't want them to force this thing down our throats as a set-top box that was all about entertainment and other computing uses, that really gamers wanted the focus to be on gamers. And they have fully gone the other way now and embraced that. And I think this is a sign of Sony doing something similar, even though you could argue this generation, they have been very focused on games, and they certainly led this generation. But meanwhile, they've got this small effort, PlayStation View and other things, to try to get more stuff happening with home entertainment that isn't video game related. And sadly, there are a million companies trying to do that, including some very, very big ones that are doing it successfully. And why fight with that? So I see no problem with this, other than, of all the services I tried, and I did do a little taste test of a few of them, it's the only one I liked. So
yeah. Sony also doesn't want to operate streaming services. So if you're like, well, why don't they just move View to another department? They have movies and stuff. They make TV shows. They want to be a producer. They don't want to be a provider. That seems to be clear, and that's why they sold off Crackle. So yeah, at that point, it's let's sell it, and it didn't sell because I think because of the PlayStation brand being attached to it, they just haven't really got the usage, and they weren't apparently going to be able to transfer all the deals over. So in the end, they just didn't have a valuable enough piece of property to sell. And this is not the death of cable online. This is the maturity of it. Mm-hmm. This is what happens. You start to see people withdraw from the market. There's plenty of options out there. There's Fubo, there's Sling, there's Hulu Live, there's YouTube TV, and those are now pulling ahead as the winners. There's AT&T TV now. So there's plenty of competition. This is the first victim of that competition. We'll see the same thing to happen to these Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, Netflix competitors in a few years as well. Mm-hmm. Amazon announced its grocery delivery service will now be free to members of Amazon Prime in the U.S., firing a shot across the bow of Kroger and Walmart. The service will offer 1 and 2 hour delivery windows for both Amazon Fresh or Whole Foods. You won't be able to shop cross-platform, though. You have to pick whether you want to shop at Amazon Fresh or Whole Foods, whichever ones are available in your area. The service used to cost you $15 a month, but if you are subscribing to that, you will just stop paying, if you're a Prime member anyway, and you'll get that for free. I saw some people say you had to sign up to apply to get invited to the grocery delivery service, but when I went into my Amazon, it was just there. So I don't know if I was grandfathered in somehow for some reason or what, but you may want to look. You might have to sign up, or you might just get into it and get free grocery delivery, which is Amazon's way of saying we just want to take this market.
Yeah, it feels like 5 minutes ago that Amazon was starting to, or maybe seemingly pull back a little bit by not giving too many services away for free because you're a Prime subscriber. Because it's either that or Prime subscriptions go up in price, and they have, and probably will still. So it was actually a surprise to me to see a $15 a month subscription item get nestled in here. And my only answer as to why they're doing that is they very much want to grow that side of the business. They want to make that investment in Whole Foods, and for that matter, Amazon Fresh, pay off in a much bigger way. So what better way to do that than make it a value-added product to a subscription you already have? It does slim their margins, but like you were saying in our prep show today, or our prep conversation, there's no margin too thin for Amazon. Yeah. They're happy to do it.
Bezos don't care about margin.
No, he doesn't care at all. But I'd like to make an announcement. This is the first day that subscription or a grocery delivery service has had any interest in my head, because up till now, just haven't done it, haven't tried, haven't cared. Just go to the grocery store, get the job done. I don't want to pay the extra fees. It's not worth it. I'm happy to drive over there to Smith's or whatever. This is interesting to me because I'm already paying that Prime and they got me on there. So why not take advantage of it? So I'm anecdotal here, but I think it's going to work.
They will make more money off this product this way than they would have leaving it at $15. They already reduced the price. It used to be $99 a year. I think it used to be $250 before that. But they did the envelope calculation. They said, how many Scott Johnsons can we convince to use this by making it free? And how much will they spend? Even though groceries are low margin, that probably brings in more money and it has a halo effect on our other products in a way that leaving it as a pay hasn't, because it hasn't caught on. Kroger is doing a great job with grocery delivery. I would use them if I weren't so close to the nearest Ralph's, which is owned by Kroger. Walmart is really ramping up grocery delivery in a big way. And so Amazon needed to do something like this if they didn't want to lose that market to those two.
Yep.
Well, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, don't forget to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. Electronic Arts announced it is publishing games on Steam again. Yep. First time since 2012. I guess they had some DLC still kind of trailing along into 2013, but the last time they published an actual game on Steam was 2012. And now they're back with a pre-order page for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. EA says other major titles like The Sims 4 and Unraveled 2 will arrive in the next few months, and even multiplayer titles like Apex Legends, FIFA 20, Battlefield 5, those are going to arrive next year, and they're going to enable, they say, crossplay with folks who get them from EA Origin.
Yeah, this is fascinating in so many ways. This is a part of the industry that I've followed very closely for years, and the stuff that you would see after Origin happened stay around on Steam, like you said, is some DLC, but mostly it was old games that had a publishing agreement that people paid for it there, and so yeah, I can still go get my old copy of Kingdoms of Amalur because that came out before this all changed over and got away from Steam. But really, since then, if you wanted to be a PC player and enjoy anything EA made, you had to go over to Origin. And Origin has never been great. It's always been, good games that EA makes when they make good games, but not a huge selection otherwise. Some decent stuff. They also were the first to introduce kind of a subscription model. That was super interesting. Like, there's a lot of reasons to actually look at Origin and see some innovation there, because now there are people copying it and doing pretty well with it, including Microsoft, I would point out. But this is kind of a big deal. First of all, nobody expected or saw this coming. We all knew this game was coming. It's a big, highly anticipated game. The same makers of Apex Legends are making Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Respawn Entertainment. Big developer. Everybody loves those guys. And this makes me wonder if we'll see the Titanfall series too come over, because that's also their games. But anyway, to make a long story short, the fact that they're coming over here at all, to me, signals something that seems to be happening in general. Microsoft's doing the same thing with a little less fanfare, but I can now play a bunch of games, including their most recent and popular releases, like Gears 5, for example, on Steam. That's unheard of. They've never put Microsoft products. Actually, Microsoft's been kind of bad about making PC versions of their Xbox titles as it is. But when they started doing that, the idea that we could just go get them on Steam is pretty crazy. At the same time, they've got their Xbox Gamer Pass for PC at a very low price right now on PCs for their own store, which I can go get Gears 5 and only pay, I think, $4 a month right now is what I'm paying to play that and any other new games they put on there. So they're not leaving their other plans, but I feel like everybody, and there are other examples of this, are kind of going, you know what? Maybe Ubisoft is right, because Ubisoft never never left Steam. They just had Uplay as another option, right? It was another way to go buy their games, but they never totally left. Well, now everybody else is like, yeah, we probably ought to just take it back, because the gorilla in the room is the gorilla, whether you like it or not. And what's the problem if we sell a bunch there? And yeah, Valve gets a cut, but we'll also sell a bunch over here because we've got some pretty good reasons to use our launchers. So a lot of savvy gamers are going to come here anyway, and we'll make more of that money. I feel like there's a move back. There was kind of a move away, obviously, and now there's like this weird trickle back into, Steam should be our friend again.
Yeah, I think I think part of the calculation is looking at Stadia and Microsoft's upcoming service. Companies are starting to realize that they won't be, if these things take off, they won't be able to keep their games to themselves unless they want to run their own streaming service, which, yeah, maybe some of them could get away with that, but that's a whole other business and a whole other competency. And that way, for a company like EA, I think would lie madness. The first time the EA streaming service went down, it's, forget it. That's non-starter for EA. So I think when they look at that and say, well, we're not going to be able to keep everybody in Origin anyway, unless we spend a lot of money making a streaming service, let's just loosen it back up. We'll keep Origin because we still want to take more of people's money when we can. because when they sell it direct, they get to keep more of it. But we shouldn't limit the audience. And who knows, maybe there's also a part of it where they want to keep Steam around as a competitor to these other services as well, and not just seed the ground.
Yeah, it's smart. I believe this is the smart way to do it, because there is a sense in the industry that platform exclusivity and truly the walled gardens that have always been console gaming are going, and PC gaming for that matter, and launchers and all that, it's going away. Or at the very least, we're starting to see the artifice of it fall away. And things like crossplay, which never used to happen, is happening. You mentioned a bunch here with these titles, but this has been a thing for a while. It was most explosive in the news when Epic wanted to, push it so that Fortnite was playable everywhere. If it was your phone, if it was your console, if it was your PC, it didn't matter. They wanted all of that save data. That one account serves them all. And Sony resisted, and they fought against that. And then Nintendo and Microsoft both kind of jointly came out and said, yeah, we're going to let that happen on our platforms. Don't know what's wrong with Sony over there. And then Sony had to capitulate, and now they do it. That's a huge breaking down of a barrier, especially from the leader in the console wars. But that also speaks to the power of Epic right now. But anyway, aside from all of that, there is a sense that all of that stuff is lifting. And what we're left with is, does platform really matter when you want to make sure your game is kind of everywhere? That's certainly now Microsoft's method, without actually putting their games on PlayStation or a Nintendo device. But they are wanting to say, look, as far as the PC crossover, we should be as crossover as possible and on those platforms as agnostic as possible. And this is all good. I mean, in some ways, we're talking about Steam getting back some exclusivity, but really we're not. We're just acknowledging that Steam is a monolith. It's Coke. You probably should carry Coke if you're going to sell Coke. You know what I mean? You better have it, but that's okay because you got all these other specialty ones over here, but Coke's not going anywhere. And that's not so much a brave thing, but I think just the obvious step right now. But I love watching this. So much fun to watch these guys kind of, twist and turn and change. And to see that pop up in Steam was a bit of a shock. So, and currently number 2, by the way, on the sales charts on Steam. It's not even out yet, so it's doing well already.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what people find wrong with this story because it involves Steam and EA. So who knows?
It's video games.
Yeah.
If it's got video
Exactly.
games, I guarantee though someone will find something wrong.
Thanks to all those who participate in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and talk about it with other folks in the audience at facebook.com/group/dailytechnewsshow. Let's check out the mailbag. John had some more thoughts on the NVIDIA Shield. We announced that NVIDIA has 2 new models of the Shield yesterday. John says, the NVIDIA Shield is one of a few devices authorized for DRM decryption. I have a cable card, HD Home Run Prime. While Plex can't see or record all of my cable channels, the Shield's native live TV app can. And through some tech trickery on my part, I've integrated it into Plex. Shield also natively supports almost all VPN Android apps, and you can sideload Chrome, so it's perfect for hotels and or being in a different country than your content. Lastly, and most importantly, it's the only streaming device I've found that has a Twitch app. I can now watch DTNS live on my living room TV without some kind of kludge, although the Twitch apps are showing up on other places like Apple TV now. But it has had one for a long time. Didn't have to worry about that. Only thing I wish is that I hadn't bought it 3 months ago. Had I waited, I would have had a faster Shield, but it's already light years faster than any Roku I've ever used. I use a program called MCE Buddy to grab files that the Shield records onto an external hard drive, strips the commercials, and drops it on my Plex drive. So there you go. Thank you, John. Good stuff.
Yeah, those things are cool. Me and Roger were talking pre-show about them, and I don't know why, but Netflix looks better on it. It's still snappy, and I have the first gen one, so I know mine's not as good as this latest thing. But yeah, that thing's it feels like a weird little dark horse, though. Nobody knows about them or gets them. But those who do, they know.
Well, that's the thing. There's not as many people have them. And so they don't get brought up in the conversation as much because you're always talking about the ones that are most applicable to people's experience. And then as soon as you do, someone who owns a Shield writes in and, castigates you for not mentioning the Shield.
Yep.
But so we've talked a lot about the Shield. We'll keep talking about it just for you. We swear. Shout out to patrons at our master and grandmaster levels, including Philip Less, Frederick Hubner, and James P. Callison. Thank you so much for supporting us. And thank you, Scott Johnson, for being on the show.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Patrick's seat was nice and warm when I got here. I'll leave it nice and warm for for Patrick tomorrow. He's taking my place.
That's right.
It's been great to be here as always. I love being on. People are interested in any of the stuff I do. You can find it all over at frogpants.com. No, that's not true. There's no .com.
I need to buy one of those top-level domains, don't I?
It's .com, and you can find me on Twitter, of course, over there at Scott Johnson.
We have new Patreon rewards, and you've got 2 more days, probably 2.5, depending on how you calculated it. November 1st, everybody who is paid up at the $2 level is going to get a copy of the DTNS cookbook with cover art by one Scott Johnson.
Yeah.
It looks great. In fact, the Grandmaster's already got a sneak peek at it. So if you haven't signed up for the DTNS Patreon yet, you need to get in there in the next couple of days in order to get this and all the other great rewards that we have at patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. That's right. I said feedback @dailytechnewsshow.com. To that person who said, why don't you ever say your email address? It's feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Back tomorrow in the same room as Patrick Beja.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Feedback @dailytechnewsshow.com.
Patrick in the same room. Oh,
I
man.
know.
That's
I'm gonna have
gonna be trouble.
I have to clean
Your
up.
mind will be blown.
I have guests.
You got a haircut, so there's that.
A couple weeks ago.
I thought he's got one today, didn't he? Thought he.
Oh, Patrick did?
Yeah, Patrick did.
Oh, I thought you said I did.
No, Patrick did.
He got one right before he got on the plane?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, because I do that too sometimes. Like, ooh, I'm going on a trip. Better
Yeah,
get my
you
hair.
don't want hair to have to deal with. That's a pain in the butt. Plus, when he was on the instance on Friday, there were 2 or 3 of these locks of hair that were like going. They were having their own Brexit, and
That's oh, really? Yeah.
they were pretty
They're
bad.
having a Patricksit.
Patricksit. A beige Jexit.
Bejexit? Yeah, that almost
All
works.
right, that's not bad.
Speaking of things that work, let's take a look at our titles.
Oh,
So we
sorry.
can echo ourselves so that we can tell you who submitted the title that we used for today's show. We have A View to a Killed, which I just have to acknowledge is a great Bond pun. Scott, not Patrick. That one's funny. Happy Birthday, Room 3420. I like that.
not bad.
How many Scott Johnsons can we use?
What? All right.
Okay. PlayStation's View Going Dark. Nicely done. Happy birthday, Internet. And lo, the Internet was born because LO and then crash. What's .new? Razor Fast Buds. I just want to stick things in my ears. The gorilla in the room. You did say that. That's good.
Yeah.
Sony doesn't enjoy the view anymore. Enjoy the view while it lasts. There's
The
a lot
idea
of
there wasn't I know it's the elephant in the room, but also the gorilla in the market. So I mixed them. See, the big guy, the big thing in the market, but is also
right.
Yeah.
EA forgets its origin.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's pretty good. It's a little.
There's also EA gains Steam again. Those are both good.
So
I don't know. Is there any of these like standing out to you more than another, folks? Folkses.
I think the View one was
like
good.
a view to a killed.
Really, that's your favorite?
No. I'm saying, is that what Scott wanted? Because he started saying a view.
The one with the View. He did one earlier that I liked that you read. The View, something View is fading or something. I don't remember.
Enjoy the view while it lasts.
Enjoy the view while it lasts. That was good.
That's pretty good. I like that.
There was also The End is in View.
I enjoy the view. I like that one. Enjoy the view while it lasts.
Enjoy the view while it lasts. All right.
Yeah, and it's spelled good for a title. That's good.
It's a good title.
Yeah.
It's written good.
Yeah, good stuff. Good.
You done good.
Enjoy the view while it lasts. Who submitted that one?
I think Beatmaster.
Hold
on. Let me.
Oh, there it is. Beatmaster. Yes, it was
Beatmaster. I'm always thrown off because there's 80 in his handle.
That throws you off?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so for Good Day Internet titles, we have the voice of Sarah. Sarah is safe. Sarah's pets are fine. Generator, I don't even know her.
Ah.
Why would anyone move to California? Mudslides are coming back.
Mudslides. Isn't that an alcoholic cocktail too?
Sarah
Mudslide?
phones it in. Come on, C-Pods.
I mean,
Oh,
It's-
that's pretty funny.
Solid.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like, but I won't use it. But it's funny.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's
C-Pod
funny.
50 high five.
It's funny to think about, not funny to use. How about that? That's the way Sarah is safe. Maybe we should just do that.
Sarah
Like
is
safe.
safe.
Nick with a C submitted that one. Thank you, Nick with C. And there we go.
that's efficient.
That is fishing.
Yeah, very efficient. PHI.
So now, my afternoon, I have a bunch of stuff to do, just general tasks and things that I have to do. But among those things, I have to get the guest room ready.
Oh, he's actually staying there.
Yeah, he's staying here.
Nice.
What do I need to do anything different for Patrick? I mean, he stayed in my old house, but he's never stayed at this house.
Do you
It'll
need
be
more
fine.
cheese?
Should I just cover it in candy corn?
Put like a
Oh, you should stock up on root beer.
Cover the
Root
bed.
beer and nachos.
Yeah, nachos. He loves nachos.
Yeah, but doesn't he like that particular nacho with the? I used
No.
to
He
serve
likes
it.
really bad cheese. He likes
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like.
He likes
He
that
likes the chunk.
ballpark
Yeah, he likes the
style.
chunk. I've taken Patrick to multiple restaurants before, and every time he gets nachos, they're always different, and he doesn't care. He loves that stuff.
Oh, he likes them all. Okay, that's good
Oh.
to know. I know
Loves-
he likes the ones with the cheese whiz, but he doesn't matter.
Doesn't
if they're
matter.
nachos. If they're called nachos,
They're called nachos, and they can be the crap cheese all the way up to something fancy. He will eat it. He loves that.
It's weird. Like, is there a fancy hoity-toity version of nachos?
I mean, you
oh,
could.
sure. Yeah. No, I've seen elevated attempts
Well,
to
just
elevate.
like, is there something like nearby you? It's like, hey, have you tried these?
Oh, I see. No, I can't think of any place nearby that has particularly elevated nachos. Oh, probably over in North Hollywood. There's some fancy smancy gastropub that has them.
Gotta be.
Yeah. I haven't seen it though. I want to take him to Casa Vega.
Oh,
Oh, is
I don't
that
know
where
if we'll have
Vega
time.
hangs out when he's not in a street fight?
yeah.
No, it is the Heritage Valley Mexican restaurant as featured in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
And
I
it
lo-
is already in the year since we moved become one of our favorites, one of our local favorites. And when it was in the movie, we both, Eileen and I cheered. We're like, it's Casa Vega. Yeah.
do you do that when you see an icon or a local icon, something that you go to, and it's like,
Something
hey,
that I actually love. Yeah. No, I get really excited.
Yeah, I do that. Like when it's like, every time, like when Kim went to New York, the first thing she had to do was go into that Seinfeld cafe, Tom's Cafe, or whatever it's called.
I've been in it.
Right.
Yeah, even though it's kind of not that big a deal once you get in. She was just like, I have to go in there. It's
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorite things is that now I know where JJ's from Parks and Rec was filmed. So I will take friends there.
Oh,
Just say like,
yeah.
oh, I want to go to this place. It's really good. And then I go, oh, this is also JJ's, and they have a big JJ's sign hanging inside that's signed by the cast and everything, and people freak out. And
Like, oh my
What?
God,
I'm in JJ's.
I'm eating the
Best part
food
about
they're
that, I know I've
supposed to
said
be
this
eating.
before. The best part about it is JJ's, of course, if you know Parks and Rec, in the show is the place where she gets waffles. The actual restaurant they use to shoot JJ's does not serve waffles.
Oh,
But
You
they
think
serve pie.
they would have added them to the menu, right?
I would.
No, they
Because
haven't.
people are going to come in and go, I want these iconic waffles that I've seen on TV.
And they're probably like, you know what? They'll never be satisfied. They'll never, they won't compare.
That's true.
So
or
let's just
you could just get away with Eggos and say, hey, here you are.
no, but I think that's the thing, right? Is that does more damage than if you just don't serve them at all.
It's partly, and you also, in some ways, you don't want to be that restaurant because you want to
Right.
be known for your whatever you make and not just a nameplate.
Well, that's what's kind of funny about that restaurant, though. Like you've seen their menu, Roger. They
Yes.
don't really specialize in any particular
No,
thing. They have
It's a very
wide.
dinery place.
Yeah.
Maybe they
So-
specialize in not specializing. Maybe they just want to be a dinery place, you know? It's okay.
There's
They
always
have everything.
Yeah.
They have waffles.
I do like a dinery place, as you've described it. That's one of my
That's
favorite
New
places.
Jersey. Every time in New Jersey, there's just like a litany of diners left and right.
I mean, I'll even go if the decor is right, like they made it look like a diner. I'll still go to a Denny's if it looks like a diner. I don't want the ones that are like a family restaurant looking one.
You
I
know,
don't like.
I tried going back to a Denny's, and I was
forget
just like,
families.
it's just okay.
Oh, it's the poster child for okay when it comes to restaurants.
Like it's like Sizzler is okay if you wanted cooked meat that sort of resembles steak.
Eileen and I both had a soft spot for Sizzler because she grew up going there. I grew up going to Bonanza and Ponderosa, which are basically the same thing. And the other day we saw a Sizzler and we both were like, huh, guess we're over it.
Yep.
We were like just not moved to go there.
I remember taking my wife to, what was it, Outback Steakhouse. And I was like, why do we want to come here? We've been to Harris's. We've been to a handful of others in San Francisco steakhouses. So why do you want to come here? He's like, I love it. It's great. I remember eating here. It's like, fine.
Yeah,
I order like a little filet, not filet mignon, but it's the what's the circular cut? I get that, and I said, like, dude, this meat is so gristly. It's like, how does this even pass like the chef or the cook? And
Wait, not filet mignon?
Tenderloin.
Tenderloin.
Right?
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, tenderloin. Okay.
And it was just very gristly meat, and I was just like,
It was not tender.
Not tender.
Yeah,
The loin was
I
less
don't
than
know.
tender.
Did you just run this through the parking lot before you served it to me? Because it's really
All loin,
gristly.
no tender. It's funny how nostalgia will do that. Like I objectively know that Red Lobster is not that great, but I love eating at Red Lobster because I just have that nostalgia for eating there as a kid and loving it as a kid. And it's totally different than it was when I was a kid. But there's just still part of me. It's like, oh, I'm at Red Lobster.
Something about it. Yeah. Pizza Hut was like that for me because we were always going there and I loved it as a kid. I mean, I can't go anymore because they shut all the locations down now, but for a while.
They have?
Yeah. And the pizza, it was like a recent news thing. And I know most of our local ones shut down. They're going all delivery now.
Wait,
Really?
Which one?
Kind of
Pizza
going.
Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza.
Hmm.
Hold on.
Pizza Hut's shutting down its locations? This is news to me. I had no idea. I worked at Pizza Hut.
Oh my gosh. Really?
I fought in the pizza wars.
He was
let's
on
see.
the front line slinging
Yeah.
dough and flour.
I was a driver. I was a delivery driver. So I was
months ago.
I was the mechanized infantry of
You were the
of the pizza
you were the
wars.
APC driver.
Yeah.
All right, everyone out.
Pizza Hut's. Let's see. They fell behind Domino's, so this is their chance to try to get back. Hut locations closed. Blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to find the exact.
Oh wow.
There it is.
All
Five-
ours are still open.
It says 500 dining locations across the U.S., but obviously some are still going to be open.
Okay, so 500 across the U.S. That's why I haven't noticed because maybe they shut one down near me that I didn't realize.
Yeah. So it may be just wave one, but the whole point was the dining experience was losing the money now. The pizza wasn't great, which is true. It hasn't been great for a while. But in high school, like junior high, before that even, I couldn't get enough pizza in my life. I loved it there.
Ken's Pizza was the pizza I loved growing up until Pizza Hut opened in our town. And then I started working for them. Now I have a little nostalgia for Pizza Hut, but they changed all the recipes. So when I order pizza, I haven't ordered Pizza Hut in a while. It's been a couple of years. But the last time I ordered Pizza Hut pizza, I was like, oh, it's not even the same as it used to be.
I just had it. I just had it over the weekend at my cousin's place.
How was it?
It was all right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Of all the chains, the only one I've ever really enjoyed was Round Table, but even that wasn't a really big chain. And all the pizza places that I've always like repeated going to because I wanted to eat their pizza have all been like local stores that do special varieties of pie.
Nobody ever Starbucksed pizza places. There's always been good everywhere I've lived, and I've lived in Virginia, Illinois, Texas, California. There's always been like really good local pizza places. Even with Pizza Hut and Domino's opening up, like it didn't run out the good local pizza places. And that's the same here, Roger. I've always ordered from some mom and pop place. Maybe they'd have 2 or 3 locations, but yeah, that would be it.
Mozzarella di Bufala in San Francisco, and also Pizza Orgasmica. Those are the two go-to.
Orgasmic.
Roma's
good.
Pizza in the West Side when we lived over there was my go-to. Antonio's is our favorite right now.
Do you guys you guys have mod pizzas out there? Did they start popping up the way they did here?
No.
So this is this.
I think so.
I think it's
MAUDE or
MOD, like mod, like a.
Oh,
like
not
a,
like MAUD, like
Mm-mm.
mod in me.
So it's
Not
kind
like
of
Rhoda.
it's sort of they basically took the template that
Oh look, yeah, there are some.
Qdoba and freaking what's the other popular quick Mexican place?
Baja Fresh. Chipotle.
Yeah.
Rubio
Chipotle.
Tuesdays.
Chipotle's the better example,
Sure.
but you kind of walk through and he's what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Kind of thing. It's one of those places, but it's really good pizza and it's not that expensive.
We have what's the one near us? Now I can't remember, but there's a mod pizza over in North Hollywood.
You should try
It
it.
looks like there's one in Woodland Hills and one down in Culver City. But we have Pizza Rev.
Oh, pizza. We
which
have
is-
those good Pizza Rev as well.
It's pretty much the same concept,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I think there's a bunch cropping up. Pizzeria Limone is like this a little bit.
Mhm.
But if you end up at a mod pizza, you'll have to try it and then tell me what you think, because it's weirdly, when I eat it, I feel like I'm 15 and on my first date. It's hard to explain. They just kind of nailed the I don't know, the 80s pizza thing, and it's good pizza, but it also just has something reminiscent of it.
I'll have to
can't
try
pinpoint.
that. I'll have to try that. See, because the only time I ever get that experience is when I go home and I go to Mario's. Mario's Pizza is still made exactly the same way it was when Mario's opened in like the late 70s when I was a kid. And it tastes the same every time. And I don't think Mario's still alive, but every time I've gone there, he's either not been there or just kind of sitting down watching his son Luigi do the or Leonardo do all the work.
Mhm.
But that always takes me back because that it's my favorite pizza too.
So
Like
when
when
you say
Mario's
80s,
pizza goes away, which it will someday, I will be horribly sad.
when you
Be
say
devastated.
80s, Scott, what makes it 80s?
I don't even know. I
Is
couldn't
it
tell
the
you.
decor?
It's something about.
Is it the smell?
I know what it is. I love a really good tomato-y base pizza sauce. Number one, I think they have a really good version of that. But I think the other thing is I was always a thin crust kid. I
Me
didn't like
too.
thick crust, and all the stuff they have at Mod Pizza is thin, and it's perfect. Ugh, the crust is
I
not.
hate really doughy pizza.
I don't
Because
eat-
it's
I don't
like
eat it.
I'm ordering a pizza, not bread with pizza toppings.
Right, that's exactly right. I don't feel like, and I also don't feel like a pig after I'm done over there. I feel like I ate a normal
Yeah,
meal.
like some of that yeast sticks around in your gut and it inflates you like a balloon.
Yeah, not into it. You should try it and tell me what you think. And it's inexpensive. It's not ridiculous.
But it's
which is-
local or is it a chain?
It's a chain, but it's you have some, according to Tom.
I will find one.
Mod Pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over in North Hollywood, Valley Village, kind of
Oh,
not that far from you.
They're
really.
new-ish. They're new-ish.
There's one down in Culver City, but I think the one in North Hollywood's
that's
probably closer.
far.
They're like every 5 feet here. I swear. I don't know what happened, but they just exploded on the scene.
what is the
I
most?
put a link to Mario's Pizza in the Twitch chat. Mario's Pizza, Greenville, Illinois. If you are at all able to go there and tell them I sent you.
Oh, that deadbeat Tom. He owes me for 5 pies.
No, he doesn't. Stop it.
Yeah, look
Why
at
did
this.
you refer to yourself in third person? No, he doesn't.
I was just responding to the thing you said. You said that guy Tom. You didn't say you.
Oh,
Emo's Pizza in St. Louis is pretty good too.
Wait,
the
what's-
menu
isn't
looks
that?
good.
Doesn't St. Louis have that? Is it the square pizza? That thing?
Cracker crust,
Cracker
square
crust.
cut. Yeah, cracker crust, square cut. Mario's is usually square cut. We call it party cut.
Party cut.
Yeah.
That's dirty. That's great.
I just remember square pizzas from junior high because that's what the cafeteria is.
Oh yeah, no, they're not square. Like the pizzas are round. They're just cut into squares.
Oh.
Yeah, we had the square pizza that fit right into the cafeteria
Yeah.
tray.
No,
I'm sort of nostalgic for the pure appearance of it. I don't know if I love the taste of it anymore.
I just remember lots of cheese and not much else. And one pepperoni on top, just one.
One?
Yeah,
I
it was
don't think
just
we
the
ever
one
had pepperoni on
of
top.
the little square pizza.
You're lucky. Our pepperoni was in the sauce, so they said.
Yeah, that was the last class that didn't graduate. Make it into the sauce.
Oh yeah, you just put a screenshot of Mario's pizza in our Slack, Scott.
Yeah, I did. I found a shot that looked. I'm sure that you would see and go, "Oh yeah, that's the place."
Yeah, that's Mario's.
It's me, Mario's pizza.
That's. I mean, I'll be honest. That's a really, really good shot of Mario's. That's not quite what it looks like in real life.
That looks like and I kid you not, that looks like the one Greek place I've eaten at, 2 Mexican restaurants I've eaten at.
Yeah.
Like it's
No,
a very like standardized decor.
You want to like put all those chairs askew and the table's not exactly arranged, and then put a lot of guys in trucker hats sitting with their wife and son and daughter, and then that's what Mario's looks like.
Yeah,
that's very neat and organized.
That's what I love about places like that, though, because it's deceiving, and then the food is insane.
Oh yeah.
So I want to respond to Faux Pas, who said, "Come on, Roger, you didn't think that pizzas were actually square, did you?" But I remember Little Caesars actually sells square pizzas. Like
pizza.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, they have a thin crust that's square.
Yep, they sure do.
And I'll eat one because I know it's not great pizza, but I don't care. I like Little Caesars
pizza, but you get the free breadsticks.
That stuff's so good. So fattening and awful, but good.
It's terrible. It's 2 things. It's like grease and carbs.
But
grease is the word.
It's so good. I probably will never eat it again, but I love it.
The best
Freedom
pizza I've ever had, though, was in New Jersey.
Let's see.
If you like New York style pizza.
How do you guys feel about? So I like New York style pizza, but how do you feel about like a really thick Chicago style one?
I like them, but I can only eat one slice.
Yeah.
Like when I mean I can only eat one slice, that's it for me for dinner. Like I'm done.
Yeah. Yep. It's not good for me because I want to keep going and I know that I'm going to die. So it's really hard. I love one.
In San Francisco, there was Pachi's, which did that style. And you just like my date and I, we would just each have a slice, and then we would just like, who wants to take it home? The other one was Lou Manello's that I used to order for people for their birthday or Christmas, and they send you their pizzas frozen. You would have to cook them in the oven, but they would send it in the mail in a special box packed with dry ice.
Wow! Oh no, that's what I had recently,
and it's really good.
Yes, we had some fans that live in Chicago, and they sent that, and it was amazing.
They do all meat, all vegetable, just cheese. But they also have, if you're gluten intolerant, they have a gluten-free.
Lou Manelli?
Lou Manello's.
Nallo's.
No, I think it's Manelli.
Manelli?
Manelli?
Yeah.
Manetti. Is it? Let me see. It's the one in Chicago. MALNATI. You find it at Tastes of Chicago.
Illuminati's.
Like
okay.
not like the secret organization.
I knew Lou Manello's was not right. Illuminati's.
Yes.
Yeah.
There
Illuminati's is famous.
It's very good.
It's not
really
the
good.
best Chicago pizza, but it's the best Chicago pizza you can get mailed to you.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Right.
and like even when you eat it, it's like this is way better than like at least half of the pizzas you could get like just at an actual pizzeria.
Oh yeah. No, it was
Yeah,
great.
actually, Illuminati's and then some Ted Drew's frozen custard. You could get both of those things shipped to you, and then you would have the best thing you can get mailed from Chicago and the best thing you can get mailed from St. Louis, all in one.
And you would spend the rest of the year jogging it off.
Yeah.
Nancy B has already given us the correct Illuminati's. Thank you, Nancy B.
Yeah. Thanks.
I knew Chicagoans were wincing out there. I apologize.
When I was that age, I didn't gain anything from anything. I could eat 8 pizzas and I'd still be skinny, so it didn't matter.
Well, aren't you special?
Well, I was. I'm not now.
The best way to pick a fight with a Chicagoan, though, is to say such and such is the best pizza in Chicago.
Yep.
Because there's a very good chance that whatever you pick is not what they think is the best pizza in Chicago.
Yep. It's a good way to fight. They don't even
Giordano's. Yeah.
They don't even care about the Bears and stuff that much. as they do about their pizzas.
Isn't
In their
I mean,
sock.
is that a thing still? Like the whole who was the guy who played Norm Macdonald? Not Norm Macdonald, the guy who played Norm.
Norm Macdonald.
No, the guy who played Norm in Cheers. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, George Wendt.
George
yes,
Wendt,
when
yeah.
he used to be on SNL, they would always do the super fans.
Oh yeah,
They'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
like the super Chicago fans.
I loved that when Chris Farley would have a heart attack every episode and have to pound his chest to stop. That was great. And they'd have what's his name come on, the coach for the Bears at the time.
I just remember the mustache and the parted hair.
Yeah, he still does commentary on like Fox Sports or something. Coach Ditka. There you go.
Yeah,
Ditka.
that's Ditka.
Mike Ditka.
Yeah, Ditka.
A three-peat. I love that. Three-peat. I thought that was the best word ever.
Pequod's Pizza is on a lot of these lists of best Chicago pizza.
Pequod.
Isn't that
Gino's East is one that's been around for a long time. It used to be at the top of the list. I'm seeing that one here. I don't see Giordano's. I think that's become too commodified now. Pequod's is new, though. I saw Illuminati's on one of these lists. Spacca Napoli is showing up on a couple of these lists.
Spacca Napoli.
Spacca Napoli.
Weird.
Like SPACA and then Napoli.
Oh, that's why it sounds familiar. Pequod, Moby Dick.
Pequod. Oh, yeah.
I was like, why does that sound so familiar? I was like, Moby Dick.
Haven't read that since junior high school.
But we all know that the best pizza in Chicago is Domino's.
Ah. You know what? I think I've told this story before.
I survived the night.
But as everyone well knows, I get other people's emails in my inbox for some unknown reason. However, I've repeatedly gotten the same order for Domino's Pizza in Midtown Manhattan delivered, and I will not say that the man's name is, but to the same person and same address, like once every year, like it's a thing. I'm not sure if it's a ritual because it's not always at the same time of year, but it's always at least once a year. I don't know why. It's like, you're in New York. I mean, there has to be something better than Domino's, especially Midtown. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, if that were true, though, there wouldn't be any Domino's in New York.
That's true.
So somebody eats there.
There's also a California's Pizza Kitchen, which I don't understand. But, of course, there's also Blimpies, too.
I was very disappointed when I moved out here and I found out that they still call them California Pizza Kitchen. I was hoping when I got to California, they'd just be called Pizza Kitchen.
Or just pizza.
Were they really just called that?
No.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. I was disappointed.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean,
all right. Real quickly, Miss M 1999 subscribed with Twitch Prime for 3 months. Captain Patriot gave 49 bits. Now get to the choppa is what Captain Patriot said when he did that. Faux pas subscribed to Tier 1. Thank you all for doing all of that. You're the best ever. And we're going to take off now. So please have a good day.
Have a good day. And have a slice on us.
Yeah.